Okay, guys, we are live! So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly, grim, and perilous master today, because today we are carrying on with our ongoing campaign playing Cubicle 7's outstanding Warhammer Fantasy 4th Edition. Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition. We're not suddenly playing the tabletop game. We are playing an ongoing campaign set in the... what would it be? The region, I guess, of Nordland, near the Salzenmund, the city of salt and silver, in our campaign called Salt, Silver, and Sin. And with me today are the stars of the Salt, Silver, and Sin campaign. I'll go the order I've got you guys, on the screen here. I want you to tell us who you are and who you're playing today. First up, we've got John.
Hey everyone, I'm John, and I'm playing Talthir of Manon. He is a priest of Manon.
Nice. Next up is Colin, a.k.a. Spike Pit.
Hello there. Yeah, I am playing Frederick Schuster. He is a humble hunter with aspirations to be a bit of a... Well, he's an adventurer kind of character, adventurous in spirit, and would love to be a storyteller, entertaining the people and making his fortune with tales of daring do. Nice. And last, but certainly not least, is Darren.
Yeah, Darren here. I'm playing Alwyn Carlson, who is an outlaw, well, rogue outlaw, and his trusty family pet, Astrid.
Nice. Now, we are currently, this is part 3 of a adventure arc called Noblesse Oblige. And let me bring us over to the suspects page here. I think is this one. Got it the first time this time. And so John has been unable to join for a couple of weeks. Colin wasn't here last week. So it falls to Darren. What happened last time, Darren?
I'm
going to move Astrid underneath.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Arf.
Jonathan missed the actual... there was a murder during the attack by the mutants. So...
convenient.
Yes. What's the name of the guy? Where is it?
It is Erasmus Hager. He's a little further down on that page. I kept their tokens here.
Yeah, Erasmus Hager. He was murdered during the attack by the mutants. So it was put to Katerina by brother Raymer to basically do an investigation of all the nobles and try and get to the bottom of who was responsible.
Mm-hmm. Talthir wasn't here, but technically he would have been as well, because he was the representative of that church.
Yep. So we've basically been able to rule out all of the sort of people below a noble level, so we know it's one of these. So they're out of the negotiations and interrogations and whatever. But yeah, we've been bit by bit speaking to all of the different cast in front of us here, gaining different information. So where should we start? Because we've spoke to most of them now. Anything
with a green dot on it is a suspect you've spoken to already.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, in some cases, multiple times. Greta has been spoken to twice so far.
And we have spoken to Matthias, is it? Oh, Matthias.
That's him? Yeah, he was the troubadour. Yeah. Oh, yes, you have. I haven't put the dot on him too.
We spoke to him quite early on, and he said that he'd researched both the families, didn't know anything about the actual murder itself, and obviously that numerous, if not all of these guys are going to be lying at some point. But he was hiding during the fight. He was terrified of being blamed for doing something wrong because of his sort of low level or low class level. And he believed that Brigitta and Frederick didn't want the families to be joined, because we found out last session, or it was announced last session, that two of the family members are going to be Jacob and who's the lady? Dorothy. They were going to be married, or they're going to announce that they're going to be married. And Matthias had said that he thinks that Frederick and Brigitta were against this, so they already knew about it. So that was what we got from him, as far as I'm aware. I don't think we've learned much else from him yet. Mm-hmm. The one in the top right there, is it Greta?
Errant?
Greta.
Well,
Yeah.
top right, sorry, yeah, Greta.
Yeah, Greta. She said that during the fight she was listening to music with Matthias and hiding. We did notice that she wore a dagger on her leg, strapped to her leg, inside of her leg. She's also involved with Frederick on a sort of professional basis, I guess you would call it. So it seems like she's being paid by him, calls him Freddy, so she's sort of seems quite close to him, but she doesn't seem to like him, so she's only in it for the money, by what it seems. And later on, or last session, we found out she is actually an assassin. She's actually a professional killer. She admitted that, but she says she doesn't use poison, and she wouldn't use such a weapon like a blowpipe, which is what we've confirmed is the weapon of choice. That's
technically
killed,
she doesn't use poison to kill, because she did have that knockout.
No, she said to disable people. She's
there was a poison found along with some blow darts, which led you back to her. But she's indicated and confirmed by the apothecaries traveling with the Sigmarite faction that the poison that's there is a very powerful, like a knockout drug, as opposed to something that would kill.
Yeah, so we found the blowpipe in a little chest in the, which carriage was it?
The Durenbach. Oh, sorry, no, it was in the Kreuzfeld.
Yeah, it was the Kreuzfeld. Yeah, so we found the weapon, but the bottle of solution that we I think we confirmed was some sort of poison, was still full. So we assumed that it hadn't actually been used and it had been planted. So we're thinking that might be the Darrenbachs, that someone from the Darrenbach family had actually planted it. So it'd be suspicious.
There was one missing dart there was a set of 13 and one ribbon was untied and missing.
So it's quite possible that was the weapon, but not the poison.
Have we suspected Brigitte of this?
We haven't actually spoken to her yet. So the other thing that Greta said, that she was pointing the finger at Dorothy for hiding the blowpipe in the seating with the help of Jacob. That's what she said, but obviously that's unconfirmed. Right, who else we got here?
Yeah, because there's some rumors about poisoning in the Durenbach family. So
Dorothy, her husband died of some sort of sudden death.
Yeah.
So we're thinking that might be similar. The other thing that she also told us or declared was that Jacob was a mutant, and he's actually got scales on his shoulder. So that's hidden information that we don't know who knows that, but she declared that. I think that's all we've got out of her so far. Who else we got? We haven't spoken to Frederick yet. Jacob, what did Jacob tell us? Jacob was very keen for there to be peace talks. He wants that to go through. He seems to be very keen for the families to get on. He said his brother Frederick will come to enjoy the peace, but he's not happy at the moment with the situation between the potential joining of the families with the proposal. He also confirmed, he was the one that confirmed that Greta was the assassin, and they didn't invite her, so the Darrenbachs invited Greta, and he seems to think. I think that was him. That was about all we learned from him. Who else? Who's next? got the 2 military men, one from each of the families. Aren't. He said that he was at the front of the caravan during the attack and the murder. He believes that Everett may be involved because he was told to move away from that side of the caravan during the attack, so he couldn't see what was going on. He also thinks, or he heard a rumor that Dorothy murdered her previous husband. So that was where we sort of said that maybe poisoning from Dorothy and her previous husband, she could be connected again. What else? Yeah, we didn't learn much else from... I know we did speak to him again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had secured... Oh, that was... Yeah, the Aaron was... he was being blackmailed by the victim. So he had an affair with a noble woman and he'd been blackmailed. So that made him a potential suspect in a lot of people's eyes, I think, or potential if they found out about it. And we did find a note about his blackmail that we've currently secured away.
That is right there.
Yeah. So we found that note, which basically said he needs to pay 500 gold coins.
And the author of the note is Erasmus Hager, the victim.
Yeah. So I think I've got the note at the moment. I managed to secure it away before anyone saw us. Because it would definitely be a death sentence for him if that was found, I believe. So that was him. Everett.
He had a relationship or a history with Everett too, did he not?
Did he have about it?
I think the two of them had served together previously.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to get to it actually when you talk about Everett, because Everett shared something about Errant, his past.
Yeah, they had an argument. Him and Hager had an argument when they were serving together. Yeah, a long while ago, 7 years ago, and I think he was seen to in public sort of threaten to kill him almost. He never obviously went through with it, but it was, you know, many people saw him or heard him state that he would kill him if he saw him again, or if I don't know, whatever their argument was about, if he ever saw him again. And I think that's when he left the military, wasn't it? He was sort of thrown out in sort of bad terms. Assaulting
a member of the Sigmarite priesthood was rarely good for your career in the Imperial Army.
Yeah.
Or a mercenary company for that matter.
Yeah, I think that's all he really gave us. Everett.
He did say he recognized Greta's face as well.
Yeah. I don't know if he got to the bottom of that. Yeah, I don't know if we got to the bottom of that one. Unless, we didn't ask him any more about that, I don't think.
Nope.
And the last person was that Dorothy. She said that she was hiding, or she didn't see anything during the attack. She said she was helping a small sick child during the attack, which I think we confirmed that was definitely a lie, and there was no such child. So she was clearly lying to us about that for whatever reason. She also wants peace between the two families. Obviously, she was going to announce the engagement of her and Jacob at the meeting that we're travelling to. They've been seeing each other for a couple of years. She explained that Frederick knows about the families and he's not happy that there's going to be the potential joining. What else? Yeah, that was the main thing. There was another thing I wrote down here that Katrina Katerina noticed someone putting a chest on the back of the caravan. That was the other brother, the Durenbach.
Ruprecht, yeah.
Yeah, Ruprecht. Which we haven't investigated, but obviously it's not easy to go and open a noble's chest in sort of while other people are watching. So we've got to try and get access to that potentially. I think we spoke to Brother Raymer, and he said if we could get proof that there was something in there, then he could probably get us access to it or get it opened during the investigation. I think that was pretty much it.
And I think just to give an idea, so watch you guys ask questions in just a sec here. I'm just going to show you. This is an idea of where this is all happening. You are in a back road that is between the Durenbach and Creutzfeld lands. They didn't want to pass through either of them on the way to this neutral location. So you're kind of in a borderland between the two. So sorry, does anyone have any questions? Nada?
It's quite hard to explain all.
No, you did a great job. You nailed it, everything, yeah. So, then, what do you guys wish to do next?
So I think the only two we haven't spoken to, three. We haven't spoken to Frederick, Brigitte. I think we were going to speak to Frederick next.
So the last conversation you had at the end of last session was a lengthy one with Greta. You guys grilled her pretty hard on it. And what is your feeling, or at least what you remember from having interrogated her more?
Well, she was quite open about the whole killing people, being like an assassin, paid to kill people. She's quite open about it. So I'm not sure how many of the nobles already know it, but it wasn't a secret by the looks of it. So unless she's just being really open and trying to sort of, I don't know, clear her name by being too obvious, then I don't think it's her. But she's definitely got a financial arrangement with Frederick. A couple of the other nobles know her. So she's been sort of quite helpful, to be honest, so far.
Who do you think's the prime suspect at the moment?
Well, I'm sort of going towards the Durenbach family and that Dorothy, only because she potentially poisoned her previous husband. She was caught outright lying about where she was during the attack. You know, it's been proven that she wasn't with a sick child. So she's, been confirmed that she's lying about that. I think the others are telling us some sort of lies and stuff, I'm sure, but and the fact that we found the blowpipe hidden in the other family's carriage, like it'd been planted there, trying to throw the scent off. But that's only my first impressions.
Is there anybody that would want to see Dorothy get the blame?
I don't know about want to see her get the blame. We haven't spoken to the Frederick. He definitely doesn't like the sound of the families being joined in marriage, so he might be against her.
Yeah, heard rumors he likes to dabble in dark magic. Or was that somebody else?
I think there's one from each. I think Frederick and Brigitte, I think, might also be in that camp. Not sure. But we haven't spoken to three of them yet, so maybe we should speak to at least all of them once, and then go back and try and.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
I think the rumor you heard about Ruprecht was that he resents his sister because she was chosen to lead the family instead of him. But that's
Yes.
Brigitte, not Dorothy.
Yeah, the additional rumor I heard was just because it was possibly a poisoning by Rubric of his father is why Brigitte was chosen. That's what I got written down.
Okay.
Which is true.
Wow, so
I don't know if it's a confirmed fact, but that's part of the rumor I heard.
So there's talk of poison
again. Yeah.
Poison again with Rupert.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, so
Is
there's
it-
definitely poison on that side of that family, the Darrenbacks.
Yep.
And did you? And how well known about is that? Do you reckon this sort of this link with?
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard it from Mateus when we were exchanging a whole bunch of gossips.
Yeah, so it's right. Potentially fairly well known of then.
That, or it was a cleverly placed rumor.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like somebody, whoever the culprit is, you know, they're definitely going to try and throw shade on someone else, aren't they, to kind of get themselves out of the frame. I feel like there's going to be some
But that's what I was saying about
real
the
serious
weapon.
skullduggery.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the weapon being found.
Yeah.
Field family, as
so-
if they'd been planted.
Refresh my mind on so I know the murder happened during the fight. Maybe I missed the part. How was it a stab wound? Slash
He
wound?
basically
Logan?
stuck his head out the window,
Oh, Logan.
and it was found there was like a pinprick type insertion in his neck or something. So we assumed there
Death
was
by
a
poison.
dart or something like that, and now we found the blowpipe. And he died. He basically went back into the carriage, and within sort of a few seconds started, passing out and whatever, and sort of a quick violent death sort of thing.
There was something about the mutant attack as well that seemed unusual. Apart from the timing, convenient timing that occurred.
The sort of almost rehearsed speech before they attacked. That was very sort of unmutant-like, I think. And they ran away quite quickly as soon as anyone started. Well,
Didn't we link?
cutting people
You
up.
guys started up your dwarf blender.
Yeah.
Didn't we link them to someone? Those.
Well, the only link so far is Jacob. He's confirmed by a couple of people to have some sort of mutant sort of scales or something. So I don't know any other links as far as I'm aware.
As far as I know, Jacob is being forced to marry Dorothy to bring peace for the families.
No, I think they're genuinely, from what we've spoken to them, they're genuinely sort of in love or got feelings towards each other.
Okay, that's
they
good.
apparently
Yeah.
met at a local outreach activity by the Church of Shalia, which she used to be a member of. The two of them met there, and then it sort of grew in spite of the animosity between their families.
I think this joining of the meeting of the families is fairly forced upon the two sides. I think
Gotcha.
that's a bit more. They don't really want to do it either side, but
Didn't we decide, or that the mutants that attacked the caravan were a bit too well equipped or well fitted out, well dressed and stuff? That they were not raggedy ne'er-do-wells as you might expect. They were rather too well.
Yeah.
They
They
were
weren't well equipped in the way that you'd think an army or would be well equipped, but they weren't dressed like near
They've been
animals.
in the woods for months. Yeah,
Exactly.
Years. And I can't remember why we had a theory on that. We had a theory on why that might be. Like they were in the service of someone or something.
That's
Was
why
there
I was
some
jumping too.
Yeah, was there some regularity in their dress as well? Sort of almost.
There wasn't a regularity like what a uniform or something that was given out by regularly made and then given out by one organization. But they were well made, they were well made and they were well cared for. Holes were mended, things like that. Like it's not the kind of thing you would expect from the things that the street corner preachers are screaming about these near beasts living running around the woods looking to drink blood and whatnot. It's not your experience with what these mutants were capable of. They were certainly covered in blood after the dwarf was done with them, but that really had nothing to do with their ability.
Having this grand scheme of unravel in my head about who's behind all of this, but I don't have the evidence to back it up.
And that is something that's worth noting. You guys have the cloak of authority that comes from being agents of the Elector Count, or at least a church that was sent them. But at the same time, you are in the middle of nowhere between two rival nobles' lands, so you must be certain that you don't. There's a dead member of the Sigmarite priest and a bunch of nobles who probably would enjoy blaming anyone else. And if your investigation comes to naught, they probably will lay that blame at the feet of those who were in charge of the investigation.
Yeah, I think Alwyn and maybe Katerina had to backtrack a bit last session after sort of almost pointing a finger at someone and saying, well, you did... oh, no, I didn't mean that. Sorry. Because, we didn't have any sort of concrete evidence, so I think we've been a bit...
My mind's, I know we don't have evidence yet, but I'm thinking if the scales on Jacob are actually true, and maybe the Durenbach family found out about it, it could be they don't want mutants in their family line, so they may have arranged a mutant attack to...
So one thing I will suggest, this one, two comments. Just, one was what we've talked about before, is that this is an artificial situation. So, there's going to be holes in the story, as it were, that will, if you focus on those or trying to introduce things and chase stuff that isn't in evidence, then you're going to run into a difficulty of trying, or you may run into frustrations trying to solve the crime, as it were. The other thing, just generally speaking, and this adventure does it, I think, quite well, it's really important to make the evidence fit your theory, not the theory, or the theory fit the evidence, not your trying to forget the evidence. If you predispose yourself, you'll prejudge.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm just
paraphrasing, season 1, episode 1 of True Detective here. But if you're gonna steal from the best.
I'm just trying to think of the simplest reason why somebody would make this arrangement and they got convoluted for no reason. But I just know that there is animosity between the two families, especially the two men at arms that serve them, because they hate each other. They should be in a mercenary company together. So, I don't know.
Who do we want to see then? Has anybody got a preference?
I think, I can't remember why, but we were going to speak to Frederick next.
Yeah?
But I can't remember exactly why. But it was just to ask him, about the engagement sort of announcements, and his connection with the assassin, and just general information, what he had to say, where he was during the attack, that sort of thing.
Well, let's go. That's as good a place to start as anywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's go see him.
So you guys head over, and you can see Jakob and Friedrich are both talking to one another. And if you were, not to draw too broad a generalization, but if you were to assume, decide one is a more steady-headed brother and one was a more hot-headed brother, Friedrich definitely seems to be pacing back and forth while Jakob is speaking to him. seemingly anxious to carry on with whatever's going on. And as he walks over, which of you wishes to speak to either Friedrich or to Jakob?
Is anyone of a higher sort of noble class or?
Well, I definitely am not.
One, yeah, I know. I didn't know if
Tother would technically be, because he is serving as the representative of the church. Yeah, you do have the.
Right.
Both the two, like, one of the reasons why you were charged with this, while the murder victim Herr Hager was the designation or the representative of the church on behalf of the Elector Count, both Talther and Katerina were representatives of their church as well. And while the Sigmarite did not seem to think much of you guys, doesn't change the fact that you have the borrowed authority of the Elector Count, at least insofar as your mission to this peace summit is concerned. So Talther might be the one best positioned to speak first.
So, just kind of game plan. We want to find out his connection with Greta, and what now?
Yeah, and what his feelings are about the marriage proposal that was going to be announced at the meeting, maybe, just to see if it...
And do we know where he was with the attack? Would that be important?
Yeah, that's what we've been asking everyone, just to see if they're lying, basically, because we can then, ask someone else to confirm that sort of thing, and a lot of them have been caught out in numerous ways.
And so we spoke with Jacob already, so if they're talking, we probably want to get Frederick by himself to talk to, or?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I don't know if we can even bring up the mutant thing. I don't know, that's probably...
Oh, I didn't plan on doing that unless he was by himself.
I didn't know if somehow we could sort of slip it in without actually saying it, but anyway. I don't know. Sort of throwing a glance over when mutants
We found this left shoulder ointment. Do you know who this might belong to?
It's known to clear up all kinds of psoriasis.
So then, what do you say?
I'll approach Frederick and make myself known clearly before I get there.
So what do you say?
And says,
we're going to put the role playing into this role playing game.
Yeah. Talther will walk up, straighten his spine up a bit and shoulders out, kind of like project authority that he really doesn't feel he has.
No, and he's such a scruffy dude too.
And he'll say, Frederick, how is the day treating you?
So the way he looks at you, like, you can almost hear a whip crack with how fast he, looks over, and the sting of the disdain in his assessment of you would likewise, be as painful as a whip crack. He looks you up and down, and he looks over at Jakob, and Jakob says, "They're agents of the Elector Count. Go answer their questions, brother." And he shakes his head, and he strides kind of like right past you, and then over to an area discreetly away from the others, closer to the edge of the road, and then turns around. If you don't follow him, he'll just walk over there, turn around, and then be staring at you, waiting for you to come. If you have followed him over, then...
Well, I will. I'll just give a nod towards Jacob for the introduction and then follow him.
Okay.
And then when I'll get closer, I won't try to extend my hand or anything, because he obviously does not like the situation. Says, I'm Talther of Manon, and I have a few questions for you, if you wouldn't mind.
Let me spare you some both of us, this tedium. I do not know who killed Erasmus Hager. I know nothing about the mutant attack from beforehand. I wish nothing but for the peace talks to succeed, and that is all I know. Are we finished?
Well, thank you for the information, but those were not the questions I was going to be asking.
And we said this last time too, but everyone can participate in this. Like, just because there's certain statuses or whatnot, anyone can feel free to suggest questions or interact with them.
Yeah.
So Healthier will say, we received many of the same kind of responses to our questions, and we seek only the truth. So we just have a few questions. Can you tell us where you were during the attack?
I was in our family's coach with my brother.
With only your brother?
With myself and my brother.
Okay. So he's the only one that, aside from yourself, that can attest to your presence.
Those sound very much like accusations, priest.
They are not.
Would you question my brother's word? Would you question mine?
It is a difficult question to answer because as agents we must question everyone's words.
His eyes narrow. Finish your questions and tread carefully, priest.
Give him a humble-ish nod.
To give you context, John, this guy's being much more of a pain in the ass than what some others have been.
I kind of got that from the whip crack look. So
yeah.
It's like...
He has been...
Talthair has been the target of many a whip crack look from his old man that he looked after. So he's trying to weather it as best he can.
Mm-hmm.
He says...
Well, this is nothing compared to the sting of the salt sea and a sea storm. So, really, what the fuck does this landlubber, have to show up to do against you?
And Talthair will say, are you familiar with Greta?
He looks... Greta who?
She's in the service of Matthias the Bard.
She looks over. So she actually isn't... But it is a natural mistake that you might make that assumption.
Oh.
No, that's okay.
I thought she was under his employ.
You could have thought that, yeah.
Okay.
That didn't seem to be the case. Talthair and Alwyn and Frederick, he's lying. No.
Okay. Well,
she seems familiar with you, Freddie.
His eyes look over at you, and like that whip crack has now suddenly become dagger filled.
Oh, Freddie don't like that one.
And you see like red is coming up his neck, but he doesn't react.
Talthair reaches over and kind of cajoles Alwyn's shoulder a bit and says, "Apologize for Alwyn. He used to speaking to his pets far more often than nobility."
It's fine. Those in the gutter are more inclined to believe the words, and he uses a very unkind word for women, for Greta.
Be that as it may.
He didn't know her a minute ago. Now he's calling her all sorts.
Have you heard of the suspected manner in which our do you know what the murder weapon is being rumored to be?
I don't know. Is that not your job?
It is. We were just thinking if you had any suspicions. There are rumors flying.
Is your investigation going so poorly that you are seeking rumors from those who were inside their family's coach when the murder occurred?
If we must question everyone's words, what better word to use than rumor?
If you wish to base your decisions on rumor, then you are as much of an incompetent as what you appear to be.
That hurts my heart, Frederick.
Trust.
Truly.
My words don't wound you. The truth, at times, can be cruel.
Yes. And he'll look over towards... It's very weird that Spike has a character called Frederick and we're talking to a Friedrich.
Yep.
Does anybody else have anything to add? I don't know if I should drop poison in the conversation. That's out of character talking. Do we want that? Have we? I know poison has been discussed with Greta.
Yeah, but she announced herself as a murderer and a
I don't want to.
paid assassin, so
We should not let him know about that.
she was quite
'Cause-
open about it. Yeah.
You can feel free to be free ranging in your questions to him as well.
Yeah.
You need not to simply have him confirm stuff you already know or whatnot. You can certainly try and expand beyond that.
Okay. Well, then I know how to shift the topic a bit. It's like, well, let's get us away from rumors then. How do you feel about this whole arranged marriage issue?
Oh, there is to be a marriage then. And of course he's lying. He knew.
Yeah, Tather kind of gives him a half-crooked grin and says, it seems some rumors are true then.
He snorts.
But what do you think of Dorothy? She is the bride-to-be.
I think Dorothy, like that chaos-worshipping sister of hers, is the offspring of a poisoned line. I think that they are all murderers, and that bringing them into our family will bring nothing but venom into the beating heart of the Kreutzfelds. I think that they have been and always will be killers. I think that it is the Durenbachs that you need to speak to. In your rumors that you've been chasing, are you aware that they murdered my first love? And you can see he's, at this point, almost shaking with rage.
Do we know who his first love is, or is this new information?
First time you've heard that. What is it?
Murdered his first love.
Talthor will he'll give him a sympathetic look and he'll say, the strength of character you must have to tolerate their presence is astounding, Frederick.
And he shoots back and he says, "You not know the depths that I would go to pay them back for this harm." And he sort of gets a look of twisted pride on his face as he thinks for a moment. And he looks over in the direction where the Durenbachs are. I betted that one. And you can see that Brigitte is the one who seems to be looking over right now. Just for sport and for spite.
Must be quite the tale.
Perhaps she can tell you more. I found her wanting. You wish to find this, free of rumors? I tell you fact. The Durenbachs, every one of them, are vicious, cold murderers. Like their parents and like their line. We would be best served with all of them, rooted up like a poisonous growth, so that these lands might thrive.
Yeah, like, quite understand how you feel, but Tather will glance towards where Jacob is in the distance and then back to Frederick. How does your brother feel about Dorothy? Is he eager for this marriage or reluctant?
I will not speak of my brother and add to gossip about him. But he is my father entrusts the family to him because he is viewed as steady and honest. Flaws which I could never be accused of possessing. I would agree with that assessment. No.
Well, let's.
May I ask? I know this is probably not something you wish to rake over, considering the emotional connection there with your first love. But could you tell us a bit more about the circumstances surrounding that? Why would they wish for your first love to be dead? And
his eyes harden, and he just stares at you, and you can feel like there's a weight coming on you when he's doing so. Not magically or anything like that, just it's that kind of like when the full intensity of a really worked up individual is just fully focused on you. And he says, have you ever loved?
I can't say as I have, really. Nothing all that serious anyway. I'm yet to meet the right person.
Then you have yet to understand the vulnerability that comes with such depth of commitment and honesty. That vulnerability is one that the Durenbachs happily exploited to the ruin of a beautiful soul. And his voice is just wavering the entire time, like on the verge of losing control of his anger.
Well, I can see why you'd be upset for sure.
His eyes very slowly narrowed. You can see like it's almost like he's working up a head of steam to try and find an excuse for violence. He does not strike you as the kind of like, for those of you who have been in a scrap or two, doesn't strike you as someone who's probably had more training beyond like the typical, courtly sword play. He's probably a decent fencer or whatnot, but not a scrapper. Seems like Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Taltheo, he feels instinctively like he needs to diffuse the situation, so he'll grab Frederick's shoulder bit and give it a little squeeze and say loudly enough that
Get your hands off me, peasant.
Oh no, I meant Frederick Spikes.
Oh, Frederick. Okay.
Yeah. He'll say the kind of feelings involved in this are beyond the description of words, and to try to voice them gives him an insult.
To speak of men on the depths of the ocean could speak nothing of true love. Of that of true love, I guess.
Yeah.
But
so
he seems to... Is that all, then? Will you finally turn your attention to those who most surely deserve it?
Taltheo will look back at him, and this time he's got this steely look in his eyes to him and says, "Do not take this as an insult, but I must ask the question. Did you kill him?"
He steps very close to you, and he is... I can't remember how tall is Taltheo?
Taltheo is 5'8", so just average.
Okay, so he is a little bit taller than you. But he says, what were the first words that I told you?
I know you've answered the question, but I wanted to look in your eyes and verify.
Look in my eyes, priest. What do you see?
I see anger, and maybe just a little bit of satisfaction that an enemy has been wounded. But guilt? No.
And what if I am a remorseless killer?
No one who has known love like that could be so remorseless.
There's a twitch in his face that happens as you kind of hit a vulnerable spot. And he steps back. Is that all, then?
That is all I have. And he'll turn to his two companions.
Yeah. Well,
It
Can I
turns
do a
in,
little bit of a sense motive just to verify his No? Nothing? Okay.
I've rolled for you,
Okay.
but
Good.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
As long as Tom...
I think before we turn away, I think I will say one more, or ask him one more thing.
You do have to say that like Columbo, though. It's
yeah,
just
you
one more
do.
thing.
You just have to say just one more thing.
I haven't got a cigar, but I'll turn around and say, this meeting of the two families, do you think there would have been peace before this happened?
He stops as he's, kind of stepping away. I cannot say what will or will not occur. My brother's intentions were and remain true, and what he wishes, I will go along with.
I want to say something. I'm not sure I should. What the hell?
Push the button.
As he, answers and starts to walk away, Tuthra will just step forward just enough to say to him, so he could hear, it was poison, Frederick, and he did suffer.
Not even a break in his stride.
Nope, I didn't expect to, but
Okay.
just...
So he goes and rejoins his brother. There's a moment you see where Jakob seems to sort of step forward in the way that like family members can know when another family member is off, and Friedrich kind of like not like physically throws him off, but does that kind of like not now, and paces back and forth a bit. And you can see he spares a couple of very unkind glares in the direction of the Durin box. Though it's tough to tell whether that's different from the unkind glares he was giving them before. So, you have an opportunity to debrief now. Mm-hmm. And a reminder too, you can feel free, we can assume you've got enough time, you can always go back to witnesses or to suspects if you wish to go back and ask any follow-ups.
Yeah.
So
what do you guys think of Frederick there? Friedrich? The two names.
yeah.
Well, if he's telling
Frederick
the truth,
and Friedrich, I mean...
yeah. If he's telling the truth, and they did have something to do with his first love, murder or whatever, then he's got good reason to, despise him, basically.
I can only tell you what I feel about his situation, and that's just from interacting with him, is that he wishes with his entire being that he was the one behind it, and that it had been somebody else that he got.
Oh yeah, I think he'd love to murder one of them from the other family. It's why is it that Hegger was the one that was killed? That's the bit I'm still not sure why he was the target and not one of the other family members. Who
was in the carriage with him?
Who gets something from that? Who gets the most from it? That's what I was trying to. It was just he's like
acolytes or something.
Acolytes, yeah. I think there was 3 or 4 of them that, and they were all terrified because they were all worried that they're going to get accused when we, really briefly spoke to them or heard about what happened. They just explained, he'd stuck his head out and then he died, pretty much.
Interesting.
Well, his death will stir up trouble with the church, though, won't it?
Yeah, but who does that affect the most? Is it, or
well,
because at the moment the big thing is that guy's being blackmailed. If the guy's dead, he can't blackmail him anymore. So that's an obvious connection there between those two.
There was, reminded me, there was one other tidbit that you heard about that Aaron shared with you. That wasn't, I don't think was discussed in the summary. Do you remember what Ruprecht offered?
Oh, he offered to pay off the blackmail, didn't he?
Yeah.
Blackmailed, wanted to give Jacob bad advice in return for paying off the debt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Rupert knew that Aaron was being blackmailed, and he said he'd pay it off. Yeah, if he gave the family bad advice. I don't know what sort of advice, but just general. But he declined.
Just imagining, Brigida is, Frederick said she, worships chaos, and Frederick himself isn't unrumored to mess with the dark arts himself. I wonder if causing the death of a priest would draw undue attention to their families that they've been able to keep under wraps for now. So I think they both have motives.
I will say that canonically in the old world, the mark of mutation is often viewed as favor by the ruinous powers. Those who pray to them, those who are granted power in a very mad and destructive way, are often marked by mutations.
So his shoulder condition is lends weight to the sort of tales of his dabbling with the dark arts.
As far as popular belief is concerned, absolutely. There are preachers who will tell you that. Those with more practical experience with mutants will know that that is absolutely not always the case. There are some who are just afflicted with the twisting mark of chaos, and it has nothing to do with their actual, goodness or badness. Though the way mutants are treated and the way that chaos will happily take in mutants as minions for their various cults and whatnot, the net effect is if they are not marked by chaos as a means of favor, they'll be driven into their arms anyway with how they are treated by others. So.
Yeah.
So we got some information from Friedrich about his betting Brigida. I'm not sure how well known that is, but that might damage the family reputation if that got out.
Unfortunately, probably more so her than him.
Yeah.
Partly because of misogyny and partly because of she is the head of the family.
Yeah.
Friedrich is just a wasteful second son.
But Brigida isn't currently married, is she? Yeah, that would definitely do it.
Speak to her next.
So,
feelings towards Frederick.
Talthier feels, as much as he would like Friedrich to be the guilty party, he does not think he is. But that's just going with his gut.
Yeah, he don't really seem. He don't seem like the one. I can't quite.
If he was going to attack the Durin box, he would attack the Durin box, not a priest. I feel he's a little too hot-headed to go around the other way. Kudos for Kevin for the great NPC, though. It's great.
I will give full credit. There's a lot of times where I'm running modules and I add stuff in. That is not the case with this one. I'll post a link to it afterwards, but it's one of my all-time favorite adventures to run. It's so well written and so well structured for someone to run.
Well, let's speak to her, shall we, and see if she can give us any information on the relationship between her and Frederick.
We need to just get around all these people, see what there's to be found, and then revisit, innit?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think talking to Brigida immediately after Frederick is probably the best approach for her, because
she'll know that he said something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe put her on the defensive just a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
What's he said about me type. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, she's next.
Okay. So then, you guys head over to, leaving the Kreutzfelds, you head over to the Durenbachs. What do you say?
Talthir will approach Brigida. I assume she's with some other people at the moment.
With her sister and her brother.
And he'll give her a greeting, a small head bow, and say, Miss Durenbach, Brigida, how fare you this?
Ruprecht says, Lady Durenbach.
Lady Durenbach, I apologize.
He's glaring at you. She turns and... so the impression... Oh, I forgot to give you the description for Ruprecht. Or for Friedrich. Description of Lady Brigida. Stunningly beautiful and acutely aware of that fact. She is the heir to the Durenbach family title. She has long, luxurious blonde hair, most noticeable in the large braids on either side of her head. Cool and calculating, her eyes sparkle brightly beneath this small tiara that she wears.
Did he say the color of her eyes?
I'm assuming blue.
Okay.
Gaping holes into the void. Why do you ask?
Just going to play on the Manon and the sea and whatnot, and I don't know. But as he responds to Rubik and see, he apologizes that titles are rarely used inside the church. I will make the attempt to address her properly.
She studies you up and down, and then does the same to Frederick, and Alwyn. You're forgiven. You wish to speak to me now?
Yes, you're as gracious as the sea is deep, Lady Durenbach.
Indeed. Why don't you give us let's just see how well it goes over to get some dice rolling. Well, would you look at that? You know what's on this Game Master screen? It's a full skill list.
Sweet.
I will say the one we used last night as well, the Wrath and Glory, one of the absolute best Game Master screen I've ever used. Even the shit that they don't fit on the screen, they have page reference in the core rulebook for it. It's so fucking well, like, what a great tool at the table. This one has the page references as well, but there's some other stuff like common names on here that I'm not sure was necessary. But, maybe when I do my first Game Master screen, I can start pointing fingers at those who actually do it professionally. So why don't you give us a charm check, please. Talthir?
Would this come into play?
It would, yes. She does like men, so...
And decent difficulty, average?
It would be average.
Okay.
Hold on, let's see. Oh yeah, you can flip for the success level.
Okay.
Go right ahead. Nice. That's a 9 with your charm.
And
so,
with Talthir, it's his eyes is the bit that goes into here.
Yeah. So there's almost a small, playful smile. You're forgiven. And she imperiously, gestures. Shall we talk in private?
That would be best, given these unusual circumstances.
So she will wait for you to walk over. Where do you guys think you want to go? Like middle of the road, a little further down, like between the carriages, near the side of the road, as you did with Friedrich?
Frederick's feeling a bit of a gooseberry all of a sudden here. He's wondering whether we should make himself scarce. I don't want to cramp his style.
That would be improper to the highest degree.
What's the old world expression for third wheel?
I think probably just between some carriages, still in plain sight of everybody, but keeping her away from the sides of the road and whatnot.
I mean, there is only 3 carriages in the entire caravan too, so if you stand between the two, she'll turn. And you must have questions.
Indeed. You must have heard that we've been asking many people many questions. And we'd like to get this whole affair wrapped up so that we're not stuck out in the wilderness for much longer.
Then ask her questions and I will assist where I can.
There are many different stories being told. Everyone has their own take on the matter. Could you tell us where you were during the fight with the mutants? And he puts a little distasteful twist on that word.
I was in our coach.
With your family, yes?
With my brother, yes.
So, Dorothy not with you?
Dorothy has a fondness for the unfortunates of this world. She was with them. Or so I'm told.
And just for my clarification, who was that? With the Matthias and Greta, or? I'm asking you as Kevin.
Oh, no. She said, well, guys, do you remember what she said?
She said she was with the sick children in the caravan
gotcha.
during, but she was lying.
Yeah.
But
Okay. And Talther will nod and say, I understand the call for charity and piety. Perhaps not the best place to be during such a travel, though.
Your heart is harder than my sister's, though I suppose for one who worships the god of the oceans, to be distant and cold is not unexpected.
This far north, the seas can be that cold, but far to the south, they are much warmer when they are kissed by the sun.
I suppose that is not wrong. Let me tell you, I do not know who killed Herr Hager. I wish only for the peace talks between our families to succeed. I will tell you, you spoke to Frederick before?
Indeed, he had some choice words to say.
Lies, no doubt. He, I suspect, would have no end to the lengths that he would go to ruin our family. He would spite himself and his family if it would harm us in a way.
Althel is listening very closely to what she's saying right now.
It's like awkward first day. Go on.
Yes. He was quite a bit more open than I expected, and his hatred for your family is very deep. But we know how the murder occurred. The who we will find.
Good.
I don't wish to start more of a feud between the families as there are, but he claims...
priest, would truly be a miracle if you could make things worse than they are.
Oh. You are currently the heir of the Durin box, correct?
Currently?
Well, there was no meaning behind the word. It's just at this moment, you are the head of the family.
Our father favored me over my brother, yes. I am the heir.
It's quite easy to see why you would place such a charge in your grasp. You're
So my father thought. My brother, he has many qualities, but he is no leader.
Yeah, we have not yet spoken to him personally, but We will. Do you have suspicions about who might be behind this?
Oh?
You are the head of a family. Your wisdom speaks for itself.
And?
I was asking if she had any suspicions.
If I have suspicions?
Yes.
Friedrich Kreutzfeld would go to any length to see this. I would not see our peace talks fail. I have no doubt that he could have it that he could be capable of murdering a priest of Holy Sigmar if it would, in his mind, wound our families. I imagine he placed the blame on us, did he not?
Yes and no.
Alan would be nodding in the background.
Yeah.
He made very clear his dislike for you and the lengths that he would love to go to ruin your family.
Having met the man, do you doubt his sincerity that he would do anything to harm us?
The man is blinded by the loss of love and anger. Do you know anything about how he came to be that way?
She looks back at you, and your 9 levels of success there, the crit success, is definitely going a long way for her not getting pissed at you for what is. She says, that sounds...
That's the only reason
my
I pushed
sweet
that.
priest. Very much like an accusation.
I make no accusations. I'm merely here to learn and
I
find
will
the
tell
truth.
you this, and she takes a step forward. Not so forward as to be, uncomfortable, but she's quite close to you. He even went so far as to try and seduce me. Swallowed and hid his pride. He was, of course, unsuccessful. It was an obvious attempt to ruin my reputation and thereby wound my family.
Now
But he would go so far as to base himself in his eyes. A man who is capable of such humiliation to attempt to lie with your most bitter of enemies, what else do you think he would be capable of?
Taltho will nod and say, I do not doubt your sincerity.
So Frederick, she's hiding it better. She's a much more refined and controlled person than what Frederick is. Perhaps as the head of the family, she just has that, much more practice at having to do that. But you can see she is fucking seething when Talther may not see it because, there's a lot of, or there has been some flirting going on as well. But you can see it in her eyes, that same flinty hardness that there was in Frederick's eyes when he talked about the Durhambacks. She fucking hates that guy.
Yeah, okay.
So she gives the answer.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering who of them's telling the truth on this bit of gossip now.
Out of character, when people are mad and angry, they're usually less inhibited about what they say. If she is seething, like she hates the man, she's not lying. There is a history here.
Alwyn, there is one thing that you are picking up on. The effort to... She says that it was an effort to destroy the reputation. You just have a sense that things went a lot further than what she's suggesting.
Okay. I think at this point I might just sort of again just ask a question from always behind Talfa. With so much hatred between the families, do you think this peace talks, this meeting was a good idea? Do you think this ever would have worked?
She looks over and at you, Alwyn, and there is that imperious coldness to it, to her look, but she says, when a Durenbach sets their mind towards a goal, it is achieved. Peace would have been had, though, with concessions. And you get the way she says it, you get a feeling that the concessions would not be coming from the Durenbach side.
Could you tell us what these concessions would be?
Arthur kind of looks at him.
To do so would be to speculate, and notwithstanding the death of Herr Hager, those talks are still ahead of us. And it would be a poor negotiator who would tip their interests before engaging in such things.
I understand. And they'll sort of almost step back.
Arthur will kind of clear his throat a little uncomfortably because this woman is intimidating, to say the least. And he'll say, if we could move on from such a hot topic, what do you think of Dorothy and Jacob's relationship?
I think that my sister is entitled to whatever measure of joy that this world can offer.
And she is joyful with Jacob?
She is.
So there may be hatred, but there is actual love.
We think of ourselves as one unit, and sometimes forget that we are individual hearts. Hers has been captured by a Kreutzfeld.
Talthir will kind of get like a semi-serious expression and say, would you accept Jacob as a brother when it came to that?
I would accept peace with their family on terms. And my sister's, she has had an unhappy marriage before. She has suffered, and though that is what her former calling seemed to accept happily, I would prefer she be joyful in her union than see it a burden.
I believe these talks have a very good chance.
I hope so. For my sister's sake.
And then Talthir will mention, we have identified that it was poison that was used. Were you aware of this?
I was not, but it is not surprising.
Yes. This is painful way to go.
From what I understand, there are few pleasant ways. What do you make of the manner in which he was killed?
Cowardice. There's few ways to get to a priest in the open.
Oh, priest? I find you in the open right now.
Yes, but...
Do you not feel vulnerable?
Vulnerability is a thing I grew up with as a child in the streets, and unacceptance in the temple. And vulnerability is something I'm used to, and I've accepted it. It is to my God that I rely on for protection.
Strange that one
And the
who
dwarf.
is so obviously an open wound would spend so much time around salt water.
Yes.
You're curious, priest.
Sometimes it's the burn that makes you feel alive.
She takes a step forward. That's when you notice, Alwyn, something seems to have actually dropped out of her possession. There's a scrap of paper that is coming from underneath the hem of her dress.
Is it actually loose? Is it actually...
Looks like it might have been something that was on her person that might have fallen, and she didn't realize that it's fallen loose from wherever it was secured.
Is there any way I can sort of maneuver and sort of step on top of it to sort of hide
You can
it from...
absolutely try. Do you have sleight of hand?
I certainly have.
Yeah.
I'm not super good at it, but...
So this will be, it'll be average, because it'll be basically that whatever difficulty, whatever your success level is, that will be the challenge for anyone to see you doing this.
Okay, average then.
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
Okay.
So I'll just sort of try and just maneuver as she moves towards Talfa. I'll just sort of step out of the way and try and step on it, so I can try and get it off the bottom of my shoe or something later.
In one moment here, I'm just checking one thing. What I was checking is you could spend a fortune point to add to the success level, if you wish. So
I could make it a critical, couldn't I?
Well, that's by spending a...
oh, no, yeah, you can...
Yeah. Fortune is the one that regenerates every session.
Yeah.
And just with that one, when you spend it, I was trying to remember if it was in this game or Rogue Trader.
Is it one per level?
One per success level, yeah.
And can you add multiples, or can you only do one?
Let's check. This, fortunately, has a page reference. So it's page 170 of the core book.
I'm not sure.
Let's see here. I don't see any restriction on it.
Oh yeah, add one too. Okay, so I'd like to spend 2 points then.
Okay. Yeah, so you step on it, and you slide it away. Are there any other questions? So you're standing on it right now, and you'll be able to retrieve it without having to make another roll. Frederick and Talther, why don't you each give us a perception check, please. Average.
Okay. There it is. Talther is in no means able to keep his eyes off of Brigid as he steps towards him. So,
all right. So, neither Friedrich nor Talther, you see what's going on. And then, is there anything further you wish to ask of Brigida?
Do we have another question we want to ask her, guys?
I don't think so.
Does she know the Greta woman, I wonder? Because she's the head of the family. Did she invite her? Because no one's admitted to inviting her along yet.
If you're asking, she says, I do not know who that woman is.
Whilst we're on that subject, just to out of character, that's the question I would like to ask Friedrich, because he said he didn't know her, and then he made a lot of noise about what a lowlife she was.
Yeah, once I sort of said that she knows you.
Yeah.
Oh, he's definitely having a... Well, I think it's fairly clear that she's having some sort of relationship with him.
Probably a transactional one.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's a lady of the night, I guess is the best way to describe
That,
it. But she's also
the assassin
as
bit.
well. Yeah. I think she's a gold digger. I think even one of the others said something similar.
I wouldn't have any other questions for Brigida.
So as she walks away then, Alwyn, you're able to surreptitiously collect that note, and give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah, somebody could be paying Greta to be here in a assassin capacity, couldn't they?
Well, you know that they have been, right? But they said it was the father of the Kreutzfelds. Father of the Kreutzfelds.
She's on basically on call sort of thing. So when he says, I need someone got rid of, but not in this situation, she wasn't told or paid to get rid of Hegger.
No.
But she's around.
One of the best ways to deal with an assassin is another assassin.
So then, Alwyn, why don't you read? You're not going to read it out to the party necessarily, but why don't you read out loud what is in Brigitta's note?
Gita, ever since you were accepted into our sinful order, or orders, no order I should know, we have eagerly awaited your passage from ignorance to chaos by the way of ritual of initiation. That time has now arrived. Please meet with your superior at the appointed place when...
Morsleeb. It's one of the two moons, the Chaos Moon.
Next...
Waxes.
Oh, next waxes full. Praise be to Slanesh.
Slanesh is one of the four ruinous powers, the god of passion and lust and corruption.
That makes sense.
So, with that, why don't we take our mid-session break, and we'll come back and you guys can discuss the impact of what she's had to say to you and what her note has said. So, for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
This is a nightmare. This is.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, you think everyone's potentially telling the truth until the next person tells you something. You think, oh, no, they might actually be telling the truth, which is the reverse of what you've just been told.
Yeah, that's the fun part of the mysteries, though. There's one part of me is like, no way she dropped that note. That was planted.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that, but Frederick, he says, oh yeah, you know, he's
I don't
bedded
suspect
this
him.
woman, and then she says, no, he hasn't, and it's like, well, one of you's telling the truth. You can't trust either of them. They hate each other.
I don't suspect that Frederick planted that. But I have my reasons. I'll stay unbiased until we figure out what's really going on.
It's tricky.
I have no doubt that she's worshiping some really shady stuff. But honestly, if you get a letter from, you know, the Dark Powers or their representative, you don't keep that shit around. You burn that.
That is not an unfair assessment to make. If it was so easy to uncover, you know, although, I mean, yeah, there's that couple that stole like $1 billion in Bitcoin and had shit labeled as like burner phones or like burner accounts, stuff. So like my folder of crimes on it. So who knows? But yeah, I think the question.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
It didn't actually say a lot. The note, as in, you wouldn't have to remember a lot. You know, if you read it, once you'd read it, if you were given a note like that, you know, you could sort of, right, okay, next time the moon.
You know, might have to draw on some of our knowledges about, you know, what was in that note. Like, what is the passage from ignorance to chaos and the ritual of initiation?
I mean, you guys, I don't think have any knowledge of any forbidden lore at this point. So,
No.
I mean, beyond the broad assumptions you can make about what that might be, you don't know anything about the specific rites that would be involved with the worship of Slanesh.
Yeah. Who was the other one? Was it Jake? No, it was Frederick, who was loosely associated with sort of chaos and stuff as well.
Oh, Kev, if this becomes useful to you, you can totally make use of that. I took that as one of my last experience expenditures.
Damn.
Feel free to give me false visions all you want.
Well, also, I mean, that is good to know, but it's contingent on being holy ground, right?
Yeah, when you enter holy ground.
Yeah.
So, what do you? That's a cool talent, though. It's a really cool one.
It's been 2 weeks or 2 sessions since I played, so I thought, hey, I should let Kevin know I have this.
Yeah, no, that's good. I appreciate that. No, it's good, and I think the visions itself, I don't think are restricted to holy ground. It's just that you will see the visions through that. No, that's pretty cool. That's gonna be a cool thing. So, it's something, you know, with last night's session as well too. Something I love about Warhammer 4th is that having these kind of like really cool and useful non-combat stuff in it. It's something that's really great about the game is that there's ways you can make a cool character that will have mechanical value beyond just the martial. You know, it really allows you to have play a lot of game that isn't just around conflict. Don't get me wrong, I love me some combat as well, and I think the combat is a lot of fun in this too. But I really do love that in a lot of these Warhammer games when they expand out the stuff. It's one of the ways for these types of adventures, right? Like, it makes writing and running these types of things a lot better because you've got more game mechanics that you can engage with the players beyond just whatever, you know, whatever
get
they
into
had.
combat, expect me to hide behind somebody and like throw a blessing out.
The dwarf is a good one to hide behind for it because he's fucking awesome in that. Although getting outnumbered is very dangerous in this, even if you're a capable component or capable warrior. So
She's good talents for that as well, though. Yeah.
Was that?
There's some good talents for getting out of that as well,
Heck
though,
yeah.
isn't there? The outnumbered stuff and that. Yeah.
So with
oh yeah, sorry, Kevin.
no, go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say, I do, I appreciate being able to do other stuff because when you've played RPGs for a long time, you know, especially if you've played a lot of D&D, the combat can, you know, it can get old and it can get a bit jaded, and that is one of the things I like about playing some different systems. You know, like this, like you say, I think it comes with the games where the combat's a bit more lethal. People need to avoid it. There's a necessity to avoid it. So the game system is bringing more to the table.
So the interesting thing I found with last night's Wrath and Glory, because it uses a kind of like minion mechanic, the way that like Fantasy Flight, Star Wars, or Genesis, or the 2D20 games do, where you can have like an entire group of things modeled with just one kind of block of stats, and it was really cool because we had a combat, but like that combat lasted maybe 10 minutes. Largely because the guys outclassed. They were attacked by 5 ambushers, and the 2 of them were able to take them out. But like mechanically, that was how it was intended to play out. So there was a peril there, but they were able to, you know, take care of them through careful use of their narrative metacurrencies and through, you know, good use of their abilities. It also fit with the fiction because, you know, they're supposed to be competent characters. So it was cool being able... We didn't have a more challenging combat in that system yet, but it was cool seeing that, you know, there was still peril in it, but you could model a really cool... Like, you're ambushed by 15 people, and you get it all done. So you're hyper-competent, but in comparison to those adversaries, but it still made the... Like, there was still game being played there. You didn't just hand wave it of like, oh, you're going to defeat them all. So it was a good way of gamifying the combat without making it, you know, an hour part of your session.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. Again, like, I fucking love combat. In our boss fight we had 2 weeks ago in Paradar was a shit ton of fun. Sean may disagree because he was stuck in a force bubble the whole time.
He found it quite amusing, I think, in some way.
Well, after that, like, incredible last minute save against that the dragon 2 sessions before.
I was going to say he was in the fight a long time with the dragon.
Yeah.
Virtually nothing for the entire fight. He was like left with one half battered, I don't know, whatever, Sea Devil or whatever they were. And it took him the entire fight to finish off that last one, and then took down the dragon with this impressive
single critical hit with his spell. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was it was a resilient sphere in PF2 is a pretty fucking awesome spell. He got stuck inside and was like, guys, we were joking that he was. It's like Jack Burton when his buddy from Chinatown was taking out all. He's fighting all the guys while Jack is trying to get himself, you know, get his knife out or whatever. Oh man. Anyway, so but for this game, so you guys have Brigitte has gone to rejoin her sister and brother. Alwyn, you have cautiously, you know, kind of stepped to the side out of a line of sight, I imagine, from the Durin box, and then read this note. And then, how did you share it with your fellow investigators?
Yeah, I think we'd have gone off for a little group chat, like we do after speaking to each sort of potential suspect, I guess. So it looks fairly similar, where we have a little chat about what we've just asked them, and so it looks pretty routine and following the procedure we've done before. And I'll just sort of read it out, I think. potentially sort of look as if I'm making some sort of notes from what we discussed and what we'd asked them, and then put that away with the other note that we got from the.
Okay.
Yeah, and Talthor will express his skepticism of this note's origin.
Mm-hmm.
As far as
So you think
why did she not
planted?
burn it? Yeah.
I think that was planted by maybe Jacob or Jacob.
So,
So you don't think it's legit? You don't think it's
I'm skeptical, mostly
because you think she would have destroyed it?
she is way too smart to keep something that way around. She's the head of the house.
Yeah, there's no reason. Once you've read that, there's no reason, to hang on to it, is there? There's no sort of like useful information there that you're going to need to reference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got no difficult instructions and addresses and sort of
It's not
recite
like a
this
cipher or something. that you need to-
paragraph. Yeah, it's pretty simplistic note. So yeah, I would agree that it's potentially another plant, and the fact that she sort of didn't know it was there and it dropped off of her dress or something. That's
Someone
you'd be a bit
slight
more careful with it, wouldn't you?
somebody slight have handed it on to her.
Or she's clever enough to throw a ruse in our way to get attention off of her.
Well, would that get attention off of her, or would it, if you thought she was dealing with chaos and?
If we were as smart as she thinks we were, yes. But if we were if we were smarter than that, then
Okay.
we need to talk to Rubric before we.
Yeah,
get
I mean,
anywhere.
it's the last one we haven't spoke to at all. So.
Yeah. He does not. Brigida looks intense. Rubric, I can tell he's got a huge chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he's good.
Especially by being deregulated down and Brigida being put in charge.
I think Kev's looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
to be honest, I've enjoyed playing all these characters. They're all just a shit ton of fun. Oh man, there's nothing like giving your players a NPC they can really sink their hate into. We almost had a mutiny in our Night Below campaign when they dealt with one NPC noble who
That was early on too.
after the guys came back to town, he just decided he was going to keep one of the magic items. They're like, wait, what? Fuck that guy. They were talking about attacking him and having to consider, okay, if we attack the head of the town, what heat is going to come down on us after this? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a good. I can't remember his name right now.
Did it start with a B? I'm pretty sure it started with a B.
Could be.
The hatred of him has blinded me to his existence.
Yeah. It's been 3 years since this character has appeared.
Illusionist thief. I'm like, you want to steal what I stole? No.
Oh man, he's also made use of this item since then too. And when the player's like, "Oh, I knew who's fucking behind this."
It was causing flooding. It's like I think it was a ring of what, to the water plane or something. That
it was a flawed ring of water of some kind, and it was causing flooding in one area. So this guy who runs some silver mines in the region may have snuck it onto the property of where the dwarven rival mines are, and now the dwarven mines are experiencing flooding. It's so strange. I don't know who's to blame for it. All right. So Ruprecht. The description of Ruprecht is, as he comes over, young, but without any of the enthusiasm that normally accompanies youth. He seems a particularly brooding young man. He has long blonde hair, so he has dull blonde hair that appears as if it's gone too long without a cut. I know how that feels. He wears a goatee with closely cropped mustache and appears intense, as if he is concentrating acutely on something that somehow eludes him. He is dressed in an understated yet obviously expensive attire. So someone who is probably told to wear something but cares little for fashion or, the particulars of what he's wearing. When he comes over, so when you guys ask to speak to him, how does that go about?
You guys want me to take the lead again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
And he's the one that corrected me about Brigida. So, lady, is it Sir Dernbeck that I should say, or
Lord,
Master?
Would it be?
Yeah, is it Lord?
Or
Lord.
Sir. Lady is kind of interchangeable with Sir as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Because I don't think he's not technically a landed...
Oh, right.
Right.
Okay.
His and I mean technically his sister is not yet either. She's the heir. She's not the
Gotcha.
head of the family as of yet. Not until the dad dies. So, Ruprecht.
So we'll let them have like a few minutes to talk for themselves because we were discussing too.
Yeah.
And then I'll make my way over to Ruprecht and first, just because I know this cost about, bow my head once again to Brigida, to his lady, and then turn to Ruprecht and says, Sir Durenbach, could we have a word?
He looks at his elder sister with all three of you. There's a look of disdain definitely there.
Like towards her or towards us?
Towards her.
Okay.
And then he comes with you. His approach is more in the vein of Friedrich, where he walks to somewhere and expects you to follow.
I have no problem doing that.
So he steps away, and he is still in view of his two sisters, but out of earshot. And he turns to you. Then, priest,
So,
answer your questions.
yes. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Your questions.
Had
I a choice in the matter, priest?
There is always choice, but in such an inquiry,
Not so much.
Yeah, not choosing to talk would be suspicious. You are, by all rights, entitled to keep silent and not say anything. But we would like to find out who would dare slay a priest and try to break up what looks to be a very beneficial union of families.
Beneficial, you say?
One can see value. Even your Lady Durenbach said, with concessions, she would approve of it.
Well, whatever my fool of a sister may think, I do hope that the peace talks succeed. He's lying, obviously. But I do not think that they will, in any event. And he's telling the truth there.
There any reasons why you think they would not succeed? Except, well, obviously, Frederick's unrivaled anger towards your family.
He laughs. And you don't account for my sister's infatuation with him?
Infatuation. She seems to extremely dislike him, and that's saying it lightly.
Such is what happens when one is spurned by a lover. At least he had the sense to call it off once he became once he became aware of her esoteric interests. I have very little good to say of the Kreutzfelds, but at least he has shown some modicum of discretion.
Well, the inquiry is towards the murder, of course, but esoteric, you say? Would that be a matter of concern for us?
Need I spell it out more clearly for you, priest?
If you mean what I think you mean, no. It would be not wise to throw rumors around that we cannot substantiate.
what would you need then? Are you in league with the ruinous powers yourself? To be so blind as to the influence of chaos?
I follow Manon.
So you say.
Talther just kind of smiles at him, doesn't argue. What good would it do to tell us about your sister's proclivities in a matter of murder?
You could not possibly understand this being from where, he looks you up and down, you come from. But there is a loyalty to family and your name that transcends the petty loyalty to individuals, particularly those who would bring such shame upon the family. And he looks over to make sure his voice isn't getting too loud.
I understand.
Let me speak clearly so that you understand. My sister prays to the cursed moon. Is that understandable? And Talther, you can tell in your bones when you look at this guy, there's a lot of good stuff. Frederick, you believe what he's saying as he believes he's saying the truth. Alwyn, likewise. This guy seems to be telling the truth. But Talther, he's fucking lying.
Yeah. I have my suspicions about this man. Says, I understand the needs of the many outweigh the wants of the few, and how your loyalty to the family name may transcend that of your blood relations. Thank you for sharing this information.
It brings me no joy to do so. And I would keep it discretion, but this farce has gone far enough.
Did your father know of her habits when he named her heir?
My father is not well. I would not burden him with such information.
So he does not know. That could be a danger to your family.
Truly, with one as gifted in insight as you, the murder of Herr Hager will be solved in no time.
Indeed. We know how he died. The who is coming together.
I would hope.
And you were in the carriage with Brigitte when this all occurred?
I was. Whatever faults my sister may have, at least she was not directly behind the murder. Or at least not the acting party. I do not know who killed Herr Hager.
What about the other sister? Was where is
Dorothy?
Dorothy during the attack? Was she not in your carriage?
No. She was outside. I do not know where or doing what.
She was outside.
She was with the sick and orphans, as far as others have spoken.
That may be. I could not say one way or the other. We were in the carriage when that chaos came upon us.
What do you think of Dorothy and Jacob's union?
I think that whatever benefits my sister Dorothy, I would be happy for it. And if her bliss brings a union between our families, then so be it. Peace, as they say, is good for all. The latter part of that he is obviously lying about.
I have a question.
You do get the sense, though, that whatever his feelings are towards Dorothy, that does seem genuine.
Talthor will like tilt his head a little bit and look towards Brigida, and then back at Rupert and say, "What do you know of the passage from ignorance to chaos?"
What are you? And he looks back and forth. Are you a devotee of the ruinous powers?
No, but those that interact know some things of them.
So
How else do you think we find them?
Friedrich, when Talther says that, there is a moment where you see his face just freezes. Like Ruprecht is like, and then he recovers. As far as practiced liars are concerned, Ruprecht is fairly adept at it, and certainly happy to employ it. But there's a moment of freezing that you would think is the closest thing to that might be hearing one's name called from across a full hall or a full market.
Right. So the question was a bit too sort of close to home kind of thing.
Most definitely, when he used the specific phrasing, when Talther used the specific phrasing that was in the note, that's what caused him to... And then he very quickly recovered. Talther did not catch it. Alwyn does not appear to have catched it either. But you can see, like, wait a minute. He... Like, from a big family like yours, you know what it's like from across a room to be like, Freddy!
Yeah.
Like, shit. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Since Talthor didn't notice it, I'm not going to say anything about it. And he says,
well, can I... How would I catch Talfer's attention in the conversation currently?
How would you choose to? You could call each other aside and have a quick chat and then go back to him, you know? It's not unusual.
Then I'll interject. I'll go... A moment, Talfer, if I may.
"Oh, of course, Alwyn."
And I'll do the head. I'll do the head thing.
As the two of you walk over, Alwyn, are you joining them for their little confab, or?
Yeah, I think I will. Not to.
So Astrid is
suspicion. Yeah.
Sitting down, ears flat against the head, just at Ruprecht. You guys.
We'll be a moment, Ruprecht.
I'll turn my back so that he can't see what I'm saying or read my lips or anything like that, and I'll say, Talfer, you know, when you mentioned that line from the letter, I don't know if you picked up on it, but he like froze in realization, recognition of that line. I'm pretty sure he penned that letter.
You're sure that he froze?
100%.
I was looking hard for it, but I didn't see it. I was hoping to see something like that.
Unmistakable.
I have my suspicions. Is there a way we can get a sample of his handwriting from some other source?
So this is the old world. Can you guys write?
I can.
Okay.
So we're saying he's trying to frame his own sister.
Yeah.
Basically.
I don't want to speculate too much, but I think it's slightly more complicated than that.
No.
Obviously, the way he's approaching, he is very dismissive of his sister, and disdainful. And I believe that's true. But he seems a bit of a coward.
Could he not be in league with Chaos himself? And if he implicates her, it kind of takes the heat off of him somehow.
I'm thinking he may be involved with getting his sister removed his head, if it comes to light that she is worshiping Chaos, but I don't think he has the gumption to do it himself.
Is he second in line, would we say?
He was first in line and was displaced in favor of Brigida.
So if she went, then he would definitely.
Like the rumors that I heard was that Brigitte was put in charge because there's suspicion of poisoning by Rubric, which is a coward's weapon. I don't know how true that is, but if his father was ailing and put Brigitte in charge, maybe he suspected it. When he mentioned that loyalty to the family is greater than individuals of the family, it made me think that he may not be acting alone. It's somebody I can't speculate too much. Not enough information.
Well, he seems to hate one sister and like the other one, doesn't he? I mean, that seems fairly clear.
Alarmingly so.
Both of them do. The impression you've got, both of them cared greatly for Dorothy.
Yeah. Mm. So
the point. Do we think the father's being poisoned?
Well, that's what the rumors are.
Yeah.
And, I heard them from Mateus, though, so I...
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is when I've asked each of them about how they feel about the Union, which I was very careful for all of these, they think the two, at least the Durenbachs, would do it for their sister's benefit. If it makes her happy, then they're okay with it. But Ruprecht's being shady about he's going to stir some stuff up. Brigitte says they're going to get some concessions. Frederick's in it for his brother Jacob, even though he despises Brigitte. I don't know. I think somebody killed the priest to protect Brigitte and their secret. That's why I think the priest is dead. Because what was the god
Brigitte?
What was the god that the priest follow? I forget.
Sigmar.
But isn't he the one that hunts down
chaos?
The chaos, explicitly.
Yep.
His priesthood.
Yep.
So imagine that being discovered during this whole endeavor.
That Brigitte was a worshiper of chaos. Mutants would also be a target. They talked about last session. Mutants are also a target of Sigmar.
So,
yeah.
I'm just thinking this is a web. I think there's two actors. I don't think there's just one.
So you if you want to discredit Brigitte, making her look like a chaos worshipper,
plant some evidence.
Yeah, gives her a motive to kill the priest. Without being a chaos worshipper, what's her motive?
Yeah.
I don't.
So
I think.
And that's two of them now. Two dodgy characters in Frederick and Ruprecht that are both wanting to make a big deal of what a
Brigitte,
low down chaos worshipping character she is.
A slattern.
Yeah.
Yes. So Frederick is trying to discredit her via, attacking her reputation. Ruprecht would love, I just imagine, his sister being found out as a worshiper of chaos and get his seat back as being the responsible heir that he, should be there.
And neither of them two really want to see peace, do they?
Well, Frederick would for his brother Jacob. I mean, I got the feeling able to set aside some of his grievances just to make those two happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the fact that them two were both in the carriage when the murder took place?
That's why I think there's a second, an actor that did the actual deed.
Yes. So who do we think that is if it's that family that did it and they're involved?
Not to reveal my hand or what my suspicions is, but I think we need to talk to Dorothy again.
They seem to be pointing at each other and keeping her out of it as if she's nothing to do with it, but she's the only one that has been proven as not being where she was meant to have been.
Yeah. I want to fish out how loyal Dorothy is to her family.
Yeah, because it goes one way, whether it goes the other way, you mean?
Like if she is just as dedicated to her family as Rupert, because she had a previous marriage where it was bad and she suffered for it. If she's willing to suffer for her family, I don't know.
I've got a feeling she's involved with all of this.
I don't know if she's involved or maybe her upcoming union to Jacob caused them to do something they shouldn't have, or...
Well, she's got ties everywhere because she's trying to protect Jacob because he's a mutant. She's trying to protect her brother and her sister. Yeah. Well, a sister in this case, because
the linchpin I see, if Brigitte is gone from this situation, Frederick has been swayed of everything. Like, he doesn't have anybody to seriously hate over there anymore, which frees up Rupert to take the leads. There will be peace.
Do you get the feeling that Friedrich's hatred of the Durenbox was specific to Brigitte or to the Durenbox in general?
He just said the whole family are murderers.
He did say the Durenbox. He wanted the whole lot uprooted.
But he went out of his way to impinge her honor.
I think he told you why, at least from his perspective, why he did that too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to have a pop at, in spite. He hates all of them, doesn't he? He just hates the Durenbergs.
Yeah, well, he said that if it would make Jacob happy, he would do what he could.
But who did he specifically name as the murderer of his first love?
Oh, he didn't.
Well, he did not.
We didn't dig that deep.
Because when I started asking him about that, he got very upset, didn't he?
Yeah, he don't know.
Well, you were going to ask about his love that was lost in the...
He did say it was his first love. So it's likely that if they're not all that old right now, if it's a first love, it's safe to assume that they probably all were kids at the time, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
I just know the rumors I heard that Friedrich dabbled in dark magic and was known to sacrifice animals. Maybe he ran with a crowd early on that got him involved with the Durenbox. That's just speculation, though.
Yeah, so one thing that's, again, really crucial for solving this type of thing, look at the evidence, see what you can draw from that. Not speculate and try and make it fit. So what evidence do you guys have at present?
Well, like I say, we've got the weapon, supposedly the weapon.
We've got 2 letters.
We've got 2 notes.
Poison.
We got one person that is 100% lying about not being where they were meant to be during the attack and when the murder took place.
Mm-hmm.
The rest have all tied up as far as where they were. The brother and sister said they were together, and they both said that, and the brothers have been together, they both said that. So Dorothy's the only one we haven't got a whereabouts during the attack so far, as far as my memory goes.
The 2 letters, are they in different handwriting?
They appear to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's trying to set up one family, one's trying to set the other one up.
So for that to really qualify as evidence, we would need to verify that was his handwriting, because the fact that I know that I definitely saw that reaction from him, that's currently not evidence.
And that is unlikely to be, even if it was, because of how rare handwriting is and whatnot, it is very unlikely that would materially prove anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or at least it wouldn't be accepted.
Yeah.
It's accepted as a science in our world, albeit being junk science anyway. The old world has the advantage of rejecting that nonsense. It accepts a whole different kind of nonsense. Testimony from the betters.
Yes.
Yeah, right, okay.
So the whodunit is getting narrowed down fairly quickly to people who were not where they're supposed to be. But the why of it is still an issue.
The one thing that I'd still like to see is inside that chest at the back of the Durhambach's family? Because that was Rupert. He was putting something into a chest at the back, sort of secretly, or was. But Katerina noticed.
When the Lesser Moon wax is full, do we know when that is?
That would be for Morsley. It would be. Oh gosh, I mean that doesn't coincide with the meeting, at least. Like with So it wasn't like in the last couple of days or whatever. No.
Okay.
How would you go about getting a look in that chest? Then do you think this?
Well, I mean, I've got sort of thievery, sleight of hand, and stuff like that. But if any of us got caught, it'd be game over potentially. I think.
Let me ask you this: who is the head of? Oh, go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say, if we're investigating, don't we have the authority to open up some of these sort of things?
You need to have justification to investigate, to search of anyone who's not a noble. Absolutely, you're free to pat down and search any of the other folks. The nobles, though, yeah, you technically have the authority, but you best have a good reason for searching their person, and then searching their belongings is even a step further as far as the remaining Sigmarite priest is concerned. However, who do you think the head of the Durhambach family is? At least as far as who's present here.
Brigida, if we get her permission, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. I just don't know why Rupert would openly disparage his sister like that. If he's looking to protect the family name.
Well,
he just wants to be the leader of the family, doesn't he? That seems to be the clearest way to.
Is that what?
Leader.
That's what he's referring to, though, when he says about the good of the family over the wants of the individuals. Is he not saying, "Look, I can talk about her like that because of the way she's carrying on. I feel justified." That's
precisely it. Yeah. He thinks that she is not servicing the family properly, so at least that's what he's arguing.
Well, that's what he wants. That's what he wants.
So then fuck her. Like, she's not truly a Durhambach because she's not, she's carrying on as she is, and in his words, she's a worshiper of chaos. So as such, fuck her. She should not be head of the family.
Okay. Well, we should go back to Rupert then, and what direction should we take it? It's kind of rude. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we want to investigate the chest, and we can perhaps make inroads into that. You think we can use his distaste for Brigida to get him to let us into the chest?
But he was the one potentially hiding something in there. So if that was gonna make him a suspect, I probably wouldn't want him, would he?
Yeah.
Unless he was stashing more notes about dark.
Yeah, it could be. It could be something in the same handwriting, or it could be anything that would help us put it together. Because I think he was trying to do it secretly. It was only because Katerina made a good.
Well, notwithstanding his own personal desires, if the head of the Durhambach family agrees to a search of the chest, there's very little he can do to object.
Yeah, and I reckon she'll be fine with that because it's not her chest.
She may still, as the head of the family, unless you give her reason to consent to it, it still would be giving up something of the family for no apparent reason.
Well, she don't know we've picked up that letter yet.
That is true.
I mean, well, that's what
I was going to say. If we showed her that note and said to her, "Look, we found this. Do
you know anything about it?
You drop this," and then she's going to go, "What? What?" Mm-hmm. And we say, "Yeah, but actually, we don't believe a word of it," or something, And then you could win her over. You could win her over like that, and sort of expose her brother for bad mouthing her, and you could play one off against the other and say, "Look, and we need to get in that chest, and you can let us get."
I think that's a good idea.
So,
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we should go with that.
Well, that's where you're going to find. If you're going to find some evidence, it's going to be locked in a chest.
Yeah,
You know,
I think we should do that.
Something of substance locked away in a chest.
okay.
Yeah.
So who of us saw Rubric in the chest?
It was Katarina's. Who's
Okay,
not here
Katarina.
at the moment, but I don't think it matters. We can just say one of us or somebody.
So are you finished with speaking to Ruprecht for now?
I think we'll go back to him because we don't want to just leave him hanging and tell him to go away. So we'll,
Hey, buddy, come here. Now fuck off.
off. Yes. so we'll walk back over to Ruprecht and tell Alwyn to get his dog away from the nice nobleman. And say apologies for the delay, Rubric. We had a very animated discussion about what you have told us. Information that will be followed up with.
And I hope you would act on it.
Indeed. We will escort you back to your sisters and see if we can pull aside Brigida.
Good. So he rejoins his sisters, and then what would you guys like to do?
Walk with him and says, ladies, I've returned your brother, Lady Durenbach. Can we speak with you again? I know it's such an imposition.
She looks over at her brother, and he's just kind of glaring at her and then kind of looks away. And she says, of course.
And we'll go between the carts again, out of eyesight of Rubric.
Okay.
Says,
And she says, I take it my brother corroborated what I told you. I was in the coach at the time of the murder.
He did indeed, but he was quite vocal about his disdain for you and some practices you may have, which is incredibly
Bubbling.
unloyal. And then I'll point to Alwyn. Alwyn, show her what we found.
So she
Yeah,
seems
I'll
at
take the
first,
note out.
while you're handing the note over, the look on her face is just like, the look of a parent whose kid routinely gets into trouble, of that kind of like, what did he do now? Kind of thing. But then you hand her the note.
I say, did you drop this? And I'll hand it to her.
She says, I certainly did not. She takes it and she reads it. And there is a look, it's tough to judge. Let's see here. Alwyn, I think you nail it as it is a look that is a mixture of fury and fear. As she reads this, and she looks at you, and then looks at you, Talther, and she says, you surely cannot, this you say was on me?
Yeah, Talther, he raises his hands kind of like in a peace gesture and says, Lady, Alwyn found that dropping from your dress as we spoke earlier, and he concealed finding it. Do you recognize the handwriting?
She looks at it. I do not. It is certainly not mine, though.
I have no doubt the sheer stupidity of not burning such a thing upon receiving it is grounds alone to think it was planted on you.
You say my brother. You speak of him in the same tone, and she waves this thing. As this? You think he involved with this?
He openly told us that you worshipped the Chaos Gods.
I think you see now in this moment why her father picked her, because there is a singular moment of focus, and she come with me in a way that people say when they expect you to fucking listen. She leads you over to the Kreutzfeld's carriage, Durenbach carriage.
Yep.
She goes into the thing and pulls out information, like a folio. She rolls it out, and it's one of those things that you put a bunch of papers on a flat piece of leather, you roll the leather back so it keeps them safe, and then you seal it and seal the ends kind of thing. Mm-hmm. She pops it off, flourishes it out, and she holds these out. Do you see these? Pages and pages of testimonials, witnesses who saw the Kreutzfelds gathering a mutant army on their property. Here, we have seen, and look, witnesses saying they've seen them at various points on the Kreutzfeld's property ingressing, and even, and she turns it over, a witness who offers an account of Jakob himself carrying an ailing mutant out of the forest and onto his property. I had intended to present these to Count Ludenhof at the meetings to ensure the peace that would be reached would be equitable and would see this threat on the Kreutzfeld lands eliminated.
Well, the concessions you spoke of. We're going to leverage this as a means of getting them.
I would not interfere with my sister's happiness, and I would not see her thwarted, but I will not allow those who are truly aligned with chaos and the ruinous powers to raise an army on their lands to march against us.
For the Kreutzfelds.
If
one last
there is
question.
any true agent of chaos to be found in these lands, it's within the Kreutzfelds.
One last question, Lady Durhambeck. Ruprecht was seen tampering with the chest, your family chest, putting something inside.
There is no family chest that would be his.
Or his chest.
What do you mean tampering?
He was storing things inside.
After the murder.
After the murder. We would not ask him directly if we suspected him of doing something, but as head of the house,
the
like
Durenbachs have nothing to hide. And she says this quite loudly. The Durenbachs have nothing to hide. So let us see what is in my brother's chest, and we'll prove that there is nothing. So she steps aside, and at the word of that, Ruprecht sort of, he's maybe talking to Dorothy, and as you guys walk around to the back of the carriage, he looks over and kind of realizes what's happening, and it's like, kind of scampers over.
Now's the time for the growling dog.
He is like, no, yeah, and then if you wish, Alwyn, Astrid can kind of like run in the way and kind of ears flat against the head once again, and he stops in his tracks. Dorothy walks over and sees that there is a lock on it. She looks at her brother and just simply says, "The key." And he nervously produces it. But he will not get any closer with Astrid in the way. So, Alwyn, if you wish to walk over and collect it from him, he surrenders it to you.
I'll hand it to the lady as well.
So as you bring it over, she opens it up, and what you find, if you take it off the back of the coach to be able to properly assess it is very heavy, like really fucking heavy.
I'm concentrating on watching. My instinct is to look at the chest, which is where I imagine everybody's looking. I'm specifically watching Ruprecht at this point.
Okay. So your eyes are on Ruprecht. Ruprecht has the look on his face of one who's about to be in an enormous amount of trouble.
Mm-hmm. All the blood is drained from his face.
Completely drained from his face. He's wringing his hands together. And I think if not for fear of whatever is about to be discovered, fear of Astrid has him frozen directly in place to avoid having this wolf dog, turn on him. And it is when she opens the chest and casts it open, there is a gasp that fills the crowd. Because there are, within there, hundreds of gold crowns filling this.
Enough to pay for the resources of an army?
500 gold crowns, you would guess. That amount has been discussed before.
Blackmailing.
Mm.
So as the gas kind of like, everyone's kind of looking over, Alwyn, you also spy that Arendt has a look of kind of shock on his face for a moment. And Ruprecht, Brigitte looks over at her brother and he says, that was money to assist us. And he points at Arendt. He was being blackmailed by Hager. This was to purchase silence, and Arendt is now equally chalk white to what Ruprecht says. Jakob, his head now looks over, and you're seeing some of the command from him. And he yells in one word, "Is this true, Arendt?" And Arendt, for such a big man, just seems so small right now as his shoulders slump. And he turns and just simply nods at Jakob. And Jakob says in an icy tone, "You are no longer under the Kreutzfeld's employ." And Arendt's eyes go big. And Arendt looks at the crowd and kind of realizes that people are beginning to draw conclusions on someone being blackmailed for such a large amount. And I did not kill him. I did not kill him. If I did, and he gestures with his big sword, there would be a gaping wound in in his throat or his body. Describing how, in an enthusiastic way, you would murder the now dead victim isn't doing a lot of favors for him and with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But then he looks at you, Talther. "Priest, my tongue is no longer bought. There is no silence for me any longer. Let us speak."
Nod and glance over at Ruprecht.
He is frozen in place.
And then I'll pull him aside. I know there's going to be ears listening as much as they can from the onlookers, so we'll try to keep it to hushed tones.
They're gossiping amongst themselves. But as you pull him aside, Arendt, when you pull him over, he looks down and he's got the look of a man. You may recall this is a guy who has seen hundreds of battles. The scars on his face and whatnot attest to the dents on his armor, to a long history of. Oh no, his armor is quite pristine. He has a lot of pride in it. Everard was the one who didn't seem to give a shit. He says, "I have no reason to protect those who do not deserve my loyalty any longer. Jakob Kreutzfeld masterminded this mutant attack. And Jakob Kreutzfeld is a mutant himself."
So we have surmised in our investigations.
He has a look of sort of one who expected to land a critical, stroke here. And having known that you already knew this just kind of takes more of the wind out of the man's sails. He says that you know.
We know much, but not all. So it is true, on your word, that he's raising an army of mutants. And the gold was to buy the silence of the priest who should very well be hunting them.
We have found on the Kreutzfeld lands Freddy, on his last hunt on the Kreutzfeld property, slew 3 mutants. And while, of course, Jakob denies any involvement with this, he has made a haven for their kind here. And I'm certain that this, in his twisted way, is some part of some larger goal.
And you've been around Jacob for long enough to know his character, yes?
I have.
What kind of man is he truly?
You can see he's the emotion of suddenly finding yourself without pay and unlikely to get a recommendation. Errant as a mercenary, like, what the fuck is he going to do now? Driven out of mercenary service, having attacked a priest who was blackmailing him, but he didn't admit it, to protect his lover, and now driven out by a family where, at best, he was serving a mutant secretly, is the, so he's got that kind of, like, faraway look where he seems you're going to have to kind of bring him back to get him to answer your questions.
Gotcha.
You could ask again, though.
Yeah, he'll Talthar, like, lay a hand on his shoulder and kind of shake him a little bit because of the armor. Says, Errant, focus. We know you did not kill the priest. The weapon was poison. And that's a coward's weapon. We still must find out who. So, can you tell me the nature, the kind of man that Jacob is? Could he mastermind such a thing?
For Jakob? No. I cannot tell you. He is a mutant. But his father thought him so soft as to be unable to secure the peace with the Duran box. I saw his father from his sickbed berate Jakob for this and insist on bringing, and he gestures over towards where Greta is, that one, to serve as a caution. If the peace talks were to be unsuccessful, that one was to leave no heirs for the Duran box. So when the old man died of the Duran box, there would be none to carry on. But Jakob wished peace. And whatever misguided did you not think the words of the mutant who ambushed the caravan to be odd?
Indeed.
I can't tell you that such flowery and soft words I've heard Jakob speak many times.
Was the purpose of the mutant attack just to stop this meeting completely?
I do not think that I think only Jakob would know what transpires in his mind. And I cannot say what his affliction, whether that has affected his mind. But he is a man there are some who savor misfortune or blood and relish in it. I have seen many such men and women in my time. Jakob is not such a man before or after his affliction. I think do you know that your companion, the dwarf, was the only one to draw blood? The mutants, in their attack, did not land a single blow.
They were likely to scare and frighten.
They were instructed not to land a single blow.
The words escape me, but peace without blood is something that Jakob believed foolishly, and which led to him being viewed so with such disfavor by his father. I think that he would have everything to lose with this ridiculous scheme, with that the priest of Sigmar became aware of his affliction and his relations with these creatures. But whether he himself could murder someone for such a thing, I have every reason to hate the man now. But I truly do not think he to be such a man. His brother, yes. His father, most certainly. But Jakob himself, I do not believe him capable of such a thing.
Well, your loyalty to him is admirable even at this point. Thank you.
I may not
just
have...
He's telling the truth. Just telling the truth.
He looks at you and nods. For those of us who have nothing else, that is something worth holding on to.
Out there will look up to the sky a bit and just say a silent prayer because he sees where the road's going.
And we'll have to see where that road leads, unfortunately, in the new year, because our session has run out of time, and it's our last session this year.
I have two suspicions of who did it.
Really? And what are those?
I don't think I should share.
All right. So first off, you guys get your usual allotment of XP.
It was fun.
Then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for part 7 of the Salt, Silver, and Sin campaign. I'll post this. I'll go back and post this as well for the other ones. But the adventure we have, to give credit where it's due, is Noblesse Oblige, written by Charles Morrison, and the artwork is by T.J. Adamowicz. And I think that both the art and the writing in this is just superb. It's one of the very best adventures I've ever run before. So a huge kudos to them. But as is always the case, for those listening at home, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section of the video, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There is also a link down below in the description of this video to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where all of us are active, and we have channels there dedicated to this game, this campaign. Oh wait, I don't think we have one for this campaign yet. This game for certain. Most other campaigns we run on the channel, most of the games we run on the channel, as well as a ton of other great channels like GM Discussion or Video Game Discussion or Finding a Group or convention information. There's great people over there. You are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. They have a terrific selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, but they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. If there is something that they do have listed in their extensive catalog, but is not in stock, you can put it on a want list, and they will send you an email when it comes in, and you can pick it up at your leisure. And if you do make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code FALLMUSER, all caps, all one word, and you will save yourself 10% on your purchase. If you're listening to this after January 15, 2024, come back to one of our more recent videos. You'll get the updated discount code there. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages, which is the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts in a bunch of crisis areas right now. And you can learn all about that by following through the link. All donations through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to help out the kids who benefit from their services. This past year, we have run a 6-part Year of Ill Omens campaign that has been shaped by the donors to the Hero Save Villages campaign. That we have nothing else planned charity-wise to the end of the year, although, of course, the link still works and any donations will be received by SOS Children's Villages International. But we'll have some more information in the new year about next year's charity plans. Last thing I will say is an enormous thank you to our stalwart, grim, and perilous heroes. So, John, Colin, and Darren, thank you so much for playing today, guys. This was just, I can't believe how fast the time went. I woke up this morning with a little bit of a headache because we're having some pressure changes here with Chinook wind coming in. And I was like, oh, I'm a little tired, I'm a little headachy. How am I going to get through the session? And now we're suddenly at the end, and I can't believe it got done that quick. So thank you so much, guys. We will be back in the new year. Our next session is not, if you're listening to us at the time of recording, we're not back until 2024. So we wish, first off, those of you who have joined us, very happy holidays. Hope you have a wonderful break, and we'll be back in the new year. We are over Christmas, around that time, we will not be running anything, but we do have something special planned just before the end of the year with a couple of one-shots or two-shots, or depending on it, we're playing some fun games. So we will have ways you can join us on the channel over the holidays. But until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours, take your mind off the troubles of our world. I'm telling you, man. I hope you had a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our grim and perilous heroes are uncovering on the road to, well, a peace summit. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.